naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati neshtiki Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu vaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Text 7. Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 51. So now Brahmaji is continuing to enumerate the glories of Sri Krishna to Narad Muni. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Yanme Bhagavatoditam Sangraho Ayam Vibhutinam Evam Etad Vipuli Kuru. O Narad, the science of God, Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me in summary by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it was spoken as the accumulation of his diverse potencies. Please expand this science yourself. The Bhagavatam in a nutshell, spoken by the personality of Godhead in about half a dozen verses, which will appear ahead, is the science of God, and it is the potent representation of the personality of Godhead. He being absolute is non-different from the science of God, Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahmaji received the science of Godhead from the Lord directly, and he handed over the same to Narad, who in his turn ordered Srila Vyasadeva to expand it. So the transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Lord is not mental speculation by the mundane wranglers, but is uncontaminated, eternal, perfect knowledge beyond the jurisdiction of material modes. So the original Bhagavatam was spoken by Krishna himself to Brahmaji. It's called the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. And it's in about 4 to 6 verses. And then Brahmaji spoke it to Narad Muni, and then Narad Muni to Vyasadeva, and Narad Muni told Vyasadeva, you expand it. Like Brahmaji is also telling Narad Muni, you expand it. Because they are so highly intelligent, Brahmaji could understand the full Bhagavatam in 4 to 6 verses. It needs for us to understand, it takes so many verses, you know. So this is how the knowledge of God has to be received from God himself, and then coming in disciplic succession through the lotus mouth of the pure devotees. Nobody can just think, oh, I think this is what God is. Then that is just somebody's imagination. It's not factual. The Bhagavad Purana is therefore the direct incarnation of the Lord in the form of transcendental sound, and one should receive this transcendental knowledge from the bona fide representative of the Lord in the chain of disciplic succession, from the Lord to Brahmaji, from Brahmaji to Narad, from Narad to Vyas, from Vyasadev to Sukadev Goswami, from Sukadev Goswami to Suta Goswami. The ripened fruit of the Vedic tree drops from one hand to another without being broken by falling suddenly from a high branch down to the earth. So like if there is a ripe mango, then the person is not just going to pluck it from the branch and throw it on the floor. It's going to break. So it's handed carefully, one person to another, one person, till it reaches down like that. Therefore, unless one hears the science of Godhead from the bona fide representative of the disciplic succession as above mentioned, for one to understand the theme of the science of Godhead will be a difficult job. It should never be heard from professional Bhagavatam reciters who earn their livelihood by gratifying the senses of the audience. So there are many people who hold the Bhagavad Saptaha, but they are not devotees, and then they are just speaking from the Bhagavatam just to get some money or name, fame, adoration. But then we should not hear Bhagavatam from them because we will not understand Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam should be heard from a pure devotee who's coming in the disciplic succession. And so this Bhagavad Purana is called as direct incarnation of the Lord. The Bhagavatam we are reading, we are hearing, this is sound incarnation of Krishna. This is Krishna himself, sound incarnation. So, any questions or comments? If no, then we can go to the next one. Text 52. Yatha harau bhagavati nirnam bhaktir bhavishyati sarvatmani akhiladhare iti sankalpya varnaya. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Hari, the super soul of every living being and the summum bonum source of all energies. Srimad Bhagavatam is the philosophy of devotional service and the scientific presentation of man's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavatam explains to us who we are, what is our position with Krishna, with God, and how we should act in our relationship. How we should act, that is devotional service. Prior to the age of Kali, there was no need for such a book of knowledge to know the Lord and his energies. But with the beginning of the age of Kali, human society gradually became influenced by 4 sinful principles, namely illegitimate connection with women, intoxication, gambling, and unnecessary killing of animals. Because of these basic sinful acts, man gradually became forgetful of his eternal relation with God. Therefore, man became blind, so to speak, to his ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is not to pass a life of irresponsibility like the animals and indulge in a polished way in the 4 animal principles, namely eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. So it's for Kali Yuga that Srila Vyasadeva, he recorded the Bhagavatam. Before it was just spoken, devotees would speak. But for us, because he knew we are going to forget. We don't have such good sharp memories. Well, something we do yesterday, we have to rack our brains. Oh, what did I do at this time yesterday? Then what to speak of this? And we have forgotten our eternal relationship with Krishna by being so engrossed in sinful activities. Because we are indulging in sinful activities, our memories are very, very dull now. And then we are just using this human life, which is actually meant for God realization, for self-realization. We are using this human body to just do the same activities which the animals do: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But well, one may argue, don't we have to do that? Of course, we have to do, because we are in the body, but we have to do something beyond that also, because we have the intelligence for it. We have the intelligence to find out who we are in truth and reestablish our relationship with God. For such a blind human society in the darkness of ignorance, Srimad Bhagavatam is the torchlight to see things in proper perspective. Therefore, it was necessary to describe the science of God from the very beginning, or from the very birth of the phenomenal world. So Bhagavatam is like the sun. Because we are so blind, we are blind to our own welfare. We really don't know what's good for us. And we are just acting in various ways according to whatever our mind, according to our whims. The Bhagavatam is that sun, which is light, brightening and showing us the way. As we have already explained, Srimad Bhagavatam is so scientifically presented that any sincere student of this great science will be able to understand the science of God simply by reading it with attention, or simply by regularly hearing it from the bona fide speaker. Everyone is hankering after happiness in life. But in this age, the members of human society, blind as they are, do not have the proper vision that the personality of Godhead is a reservoir of all happiness, because he is the ultimate source of everything. Janmadi asya yataha. So we all want to be happy. We all want to be happy, and that's the reason we work in such a way. We think, okay, I will do this, I will be happy. I will get more a more beautiful body, I will be happy. I will get more money, I will be happy. I will have better children or better spouse, I will be happy. Or whatever reasons, I will have better education, I will be happy. So we are all endeavoring with the motive to be happy, but we do not know where this happiness, we can find the happiness. We can find the happiness only in relation with Krishna. Why? Because he's the reservoir of all happiness. If we are thirsty, we have to drink water. So we will go to the source of water and drink it. That's why we will quench, that's how we will quench our thirst. So in our thirst for happiness, we are trying to look for it in places where happiness doesn't exist. In the material matter, we are looking for it in matter. But matter does not have the ingredient of happiness. Happiness in complete perfection, without hindrance, can be achieved only by our devotional relationship with him. And it is only by his association that we can get free of distressful material existence. Even those who are after the enjoyment of this material world can also take shelter of the great science of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they will be successful at the end. So Narad is therefore requested or ordered by his spiritual master to present this science with determination and in good plan. Narad was never advised to preach the principles of Bhagavatam to earn a livelihood. He was ordered by his spiritual master to take the matter very seriously in a missionary spirit. So this is the mood of a pure devotee. A pure devotee, because he knows, oh, how I can be happy, how my suffering can go away. He doesn't want to keep keep it with himself. He doesn't want to be a miser. He's not a miser. He wants to share it with everybody so that everybody can be happy. Because everybody is suffering in this material world. Because we are all misguided. We are all thinking we are the body and we are trying to find happiness with this body. But this body is the source of our greatest suffering. And so that's the reason the greatest missionary work we can do is tell others about Krishna, tell others about their connection with Krishna. Tell them to chant the holy name of Krishna, to connect them with Krishna. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so then reading on, text 53. Mayam varnayato amushya ishwarasya numodataha shranmataha shraddhaya nityam maya yatma namuyati. The Lord's activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusory energy of the Lord. So here Brahmaji is saying, if we hear and read Srimad Bhagavatam regularly with devotion and respect, he's giving the guarantee, for sure we can get out of this, the Maya potency of the Lord. The science of learning a subject matter seriously is different from the sentiments of fanatics. Fanatics or fools may consider the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy to be useless for them, and they may falsely claim to be higher participants in the internal energy of the Lord. But factually, the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy and the internal energy are equally good. So there are certain class of men, of people, they say we don't need to know about creation. We don't know what's the relationship, how this Maya Shakti is working under the energy of Krishna, how he is creating, how he's entering as Paramatma. Oh, we don't need to bother with all these things. I am an elevated devotee, so I don't need to know about material things. I will just be situated, I will just think of the pastimes of Krishna, you know, especially his pastimes in Vrindavan. So there are certain class of people like that, but they are misguided. That's not the way the science of God has to be approached. We have to understand Krishna's relationship in this creation, because this is how we are seeing. What we are seeing is the material world. We are not able to see Krishna and his personal associates. We are not able to see his pastimes, but we are able to see and experience this material world. So if we have the foundation very properly, what is Krishna's relationship? What is our relationship? What's our position in this creation? What is Krishna's position in this creation? And what is all this creation about? Then we can understand Krishna, we can understand God factually, in truth, how he is. On the other hand, those who are not completely free from the clutches of the Lord's external energy should devoutly hear regularly about the activities of the Lord in relation with the external energy. They should not foolishly jump up to the activities of the Lord's internal energy, falsely attracted by such activities as is Rasa Leela. The cheap reciters of the Bhagavatam are very much enthusiastic about the activities of the Lord's internal potency, and the pseudo-devotees, absorbed in material sense enjoyment, falsely jump to the stage of liberated souls and thus fall down deeply into the clutches of external energy. So you see, Vyasadeva also, he's written about Krishna's personal pastimes in Vrindavan in the 10th canto. From the first canto, second canto, third canto, he's speaking so much about creation, about Krishna's position in this creation. So that we can understand what's his position. We are not jumping directly to Krishna's pastimes because we are not able to understand. That's for the pure devotees. The liberated devotees can understand Krishna's pastimes in truth. In truth, we can just simply try to hear and appreciate. But these first few cantos of Bhagavatam, especially the purpose also which Srila Prabhupada has given, it's to give a strong foundation to us in our relationship to Krishna. Some of them think that to hear about the pastimes of the Lord means to hear about his activities with the gopis or about his pastimes like lifting the Govardhana hill. And they have nothing to do with the Lord's plenary expansions as the Purusha avatars and the pastimes of the creation, maintenance, or annihilation of the material worlds. But a pure devotee knows that there is no difference between the pastimes of the Lord, either in Ras Leela or in creation, maintenance, or destruction of the material world. Rather, the descriptions of such activities of the Lord as the Purusha avatars are especially meant for persons who are in the clutches of the external energy. So the Purusha avatars are the Mahavishnu, the Karana Dakshai Vishnu, the Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, the Shiro Dakshai Vishnu. So once we can try to understand, oh wow, Krishna expands as the Karana Dakshai Vishnu, and from his body all these universes are coming. So then we can understand in truth what's happening with this creation. Oh, then Garbho Dakshai Vishnu is entering into each and every universe. And Lord Brahma is created by Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. So Lord Brahma is not God. He's coming from Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. And then Shiro Dakshai Vishnu is entering into all the atoms as the Paramatma. And he's there in all our hearts and into every atom. And that's how all the planets are floating, is because of the potency of Krishna. So when we understand that, so then Prabhupada is saying there's no difference to understand these and the difference of the activities of his pastimes in Vrindavan. But because we are not at the pure liberated stage, we are not able to fully relish the pastimes of the Ras Leela. So it's better for us to try to understand properly the pastimes of the Lord as in the matter of creation, how he's creating this material world. Topics like the Ras Leela are meant for the liberated souls and not for the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls, therefore, must hear with appreciation and devotion the Lord's pastimes in relationship with the external energy, and such acts are as good as the hearing of Rasa Leela in the liberated stage. A conditioned soul should not imitate the activities of liberated souls. Lord Sri Chaitanya never indulged in hearing the Rasa Leela with ordinary men. So we might think, oh, I'm missing out something. I'm not hearing the Rasa Leela, so I'm missing out something. But no, by hearing all this, how this creation is happening is as good as hearing the Rasa Leela. But it's better for us in our stage, so because we can understand it. We are able to relate to it. And Lord Chaitanya also set the example. He would never discuss the confidential pastimes of Krishna out in the public. Never. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Science of God, the first 9 cantos prepare the ground for hearing the 10th canto. This will be further explained in the last chapter of this canto. In the 3rd canto, it will be more explicit. A pure devotee of the Lord, therefore, must begin reading or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning and not from the 10th canto. We have several times been requested by some so-called devotees to take up the 10th canto immediately, but we have refrained from such an action because we wish to present Srimad Bhagavatam as the science of Godhead and not as a sensuous understanding for the conditioned souls. So because there are many people who translated only the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. They wanted to just describe the confidential pastimes of Krishna, but they did not translate all the cantos, the previous cantos. So Prabhupada was also requested to just translate the 10th canto, but he said, no, I want to present the science of God so that people like us can understand in truth what actually is happening. And not just for us to get some excitement or some sense gratification by hearing Krishna's pastimes of 10th canto. This is forbidden by such authorities as Sri Brahmaji. By reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as a scientific presentation, the conditioned souls will gradually be promoted to the higher status of transcendental knowledge after being freed from the illusory energy based on sense enjoyment. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. So we just have to systematically and regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And for sure, there's a guarantee that we will be free, we will be liberated, and we can go back home, back to Godhead, just by regularly, attentively hearing and reading Srimad Bhagavatam and following what Bhagavatam says. Any questions or comments?
How do we know which Bhagavatam, translated as it is and which are not?
So you have to see that the person who, for example, like this is Bhagavatam translated by Srila Prabhupada. So we know Srila Prabhupada is coming from the disciplic succession. He gives, okay, my guru is this one, his guru, my guru is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His guru was Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. His guru is Jagannath Das Babaji Thakur. And then like this, he's saying who is his guru, who's his guru, who's his guru. Then he comes to Vyasadev, Narad Muni, Brahmaji, and Sri Krishna. So then we know that this chain of disciplic succession is bona fide. So if you're hearing or reading any Bhagavatam, which is translated by any other person, then you have to see who is his guru, and is the original person Krishna? You know? Well, and many people might misuse this also. Somebody might just make it up and say, yes, I'm talking from Krishna. But are they really speaking about Krishna and truth? Are they telling us to worship Krishna and not to worship themselves? You know? So we have to see like who's this one's guru, who's this one's guru, like which sampradaya are they coming from?
So that means that whatever we listen, like even if we hear about the external or the internal, it's equally.
Yes, because it's Krishna's energy. So there's no difference from his point of view. There is no difference. We are associating by Krishna, even by hearing about his pastimes as Mahavishnu, Karnadaksha Vishnu. And for us, it's in fact better to hear those so that we can understand in truth, instead of trying to speculate and, trying to talk too much about his pastimes in Vrindavan without understanding his position. Because if we just directly jump to the pastimes of Vrindavan without understanding Krishna's position, we'll take him to be an ordinary person. Oh, he's just an ordinary man. He's like me only. That's what the mentality comes then. So we are not approaching those pastimes in the correct mood. So then if we are not approaching in the correct mood, we won't get purified. The whole reason we are hearing about Krishna is for our purification and to associate with Krishna in the correct manner. But if we don't associate with him in the correct manner, then we are not going to understand him. We are not going to understand who we are. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. So shall we stop here? We can begin the next chapter tomorrow.
Yes.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining in. Have a great day.
Thank you.